Hey everyone, I'm here today with Dennis Bernstein, or as most of you know, Hawken soccer legend Dennis Bernstein. We went to the same high school, and Dennis was somebody who I was always like, man, this guy's the best. He's had a real career since I knew him back when he was, nice young man. Dennis, thank you for joining. Would love for you to introduce yourself, a little bit about your background, and then it's illustrious, so I'm gonna dive deep.
Sounds good. Thanks, Aaron, for having me. Yes, and reminding me of my Hawken days. Definitely miss those. But yeah, it's been great to stay in touch with those fellow Hawken classmates, and good to continue the conversations. But yeah, I'm Dennis Bernstein. For those that don't know me, I am VP of Marketing Growth at a company called Serafina Therapeutics. We have one product today called Fatty 15, which is a fatty acid supplement. Have been with them now from the very early stages for almost 5 years now, kind of going from a brand name to where we are today. Very successful DTC subscription business, but have a extensive experience over the last 25 years throughout my career working at big box companies, Procter and Gamble's of the world, Dollar Shave Clubs, and kind of have worked my way backwards throughout my career to kind of very early stage startup world, and have a lot of learnings. I'm excited to kind of walk you through that today and share more about my experiences and hopefully helping all of you kind of figure out your own.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, going from Procter and Gamble to Dollar Shave to Fatty 15. I love how you call that kind of like going backwards. I went the other way, which is like Deloitte, and then I've just been at very small companies forever. So one day I will try to, scale big. I'm obviously super curious about your journey. Maybe if you could share just some like pivotal experiences that those roles had, specifically on like how you think about marketing and growth. You and I have talked separately about this. Like you're one of the deepest thinkers I know in the space. So yeah, how did those experiences kind of influence where you are today?
Yeah, it's been an incredible ride over the last 25 years. Even in my early P&G days, working across many different business units there. And that's one of the great things. While at a big company, getting a lot of learnings and learning from kind of the experts in the world of brand building and marketing, and really how to run a business day to day, that has really kind of set me up for kind of where I am today. But what I would say is even a lot of the brands and businesses that I've worked on really is coming from the underdog side of things, which is kind of surprising to say from coming from a company at a P&G. But my first role there after coming out of grad school was working on the Gillette deodorants business, which you'd think, oh, Gillette, big brand, amazing story, but people only knew them for their razors. Didn't really know that they even had a deodorant. And even within P&G, they had just gone through the acquisition of the Gillette business. And you had two very reputable brands, an Old Spice and Secret, that were receiving a lot of the dollars that were available from a marketing and branding standpoint. So from the very early stages there, which has now transpired throughout my career, is how I had to get creative, how I had to be scrappy, how to stretch a small budget and be impactful and stand out among the sea of other alternatives that are out there. And even the time that I was there on Gillette, kind of transforming the business, that what we called was a trade brand, something that was focused on selling $2 sticks of deodorant at retail at Sam's Club and Costco, to actually becoming a performance brand, building equity, and actually becoming the fastest growing deodorant brand in the category over the time that I was there, and kind of really loved learning how to do more with less. And that kind of kicked off kind of that stage, and can definitely share more of my P&G experience there as well.
Yeah. I wanted to eventually go into some of the brand campaigns, but let's actually stay here. So it became the fastest growing. What were some of the things that like the aha moments for you to like kind of unlock growth if you put on your growth hat in particular? And what are some of those that are like still carrying through? And what of kind of, if you want to, like, what are some of the things that worked then that like no longer work? But
Yeah, I'd say kind of one of it's getting back to basics and really taking a look at your customer. And that's something P&G thrives on, kind of a backbone of consumer is boss. And that's something that was a mantra that was set in the very early stages. You go through your training at P&G, and the consumer being the focus of everything that you do. It's finding kind of what are the unmet needs for the category, kind of what do your specific target audience want, and how do you develop not only kind of marketing, but your product performance in a way that is meeting those unmet needs. And that's something that even on the Gillette deodorant side, we were able to borrow some of the work that Secret was working on and actually launch a clinical strength deodorant for guys that sweat a lot more than others, which most of us do, actually building out a Gillette clinical strength line of products that really kind of catapulted the premiumness of the Gillette brand, providing kind of enhanced performance benefits that other brands in the category quickly followed suit down the road. But that was an unmet need in the category that we were able to quickly capitalize on and kind of bring from an innovation standpoint that really transformed the business in a way that met that consumer unmet need.
It's really cool. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what I'm translating is like you guys can have all the resources in the world and you have the brand name and everything. But at the end of the day, what really mattered was you deeply understanding your customer and building a product that hit a customer niche or whatever it was as defined, niche for you guys was bigger than any company in the world type of thing. But hit a customer in a way that they just hadn't engaged with the brand before.
Yeah, and I'd say yes, lots of resources at P&G and amazing resources there from innovation, product development, and everything else. But at the end of the day, if you're not building out kind of what is that consumer target, what do they want, what are their needs, how do you go attract them, you're never going to be successful in kind of acquiring those customers in the door. And it matches both on the kind of the marketing side and the product development side. It's meeting in the middle, and kind of targeting those resources and utilizing them in the right manner. Having them go off and build something and just launch isn't necessarily going to succeed. Yes, you may be able to get a few consumers, but translating it to something that's meaningful for your consumer audience is as important, if not more important, than the product itself. It's how do you then translate those benefits? How do you translate those product performance attributes that really meet the needs and the hearts and minds of consumers?
Dennis, I love it. And I realized I didn't even, I mean, I know you know who I am, but most people don't. I didn't introduce myself. So Aaron Schwartz, one of the founders of Orita, the thing that you were saying that deeply connects is like I went into e-commerce on a lark in 2010 and I ran a brand for a while and it was a watch company and I didn't care deeply about watches, but it was all about community and like finding customer needs. And then co-founding Passport Shipping was like, okay, international shipping sucks for small brands. How do we go create a delightful experience? And then obviously Loop Returns was like returns and exchanges. But again, it's all about creating that like delightful, like enabling the brand to create a delightful consumer experience. And with Arita, it's like AI customer segments, which is like, who cares? AI, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, how do we go hit the customer up at the right time when it's right for them? The through line is so tied to what you're discussing, where it's just like, it's kind of everything has to come together. It's like you can have the resource, you can have everything, but it's not just one piece. It's that full story. You you then went to Dollar Shave, which, again, as that like brand founder who scaled quickly and then like tapered and, not the right outcome. My God, Dollar Shave was just the coolest, the monster, the everything. Like if you can reflect back, right? Like you're now the seasoned, you know how to run D2C, but like that must have been fundamentally different from P&G. Like, what did you feel when you walked in? How long did it take you to get settled? Walk us through that experience.
Yeah, it was definitely a transition, and you always get the questions. Well, you have all these resources available at a P&G, and now you're coming into
Yeah.
Dollar Shave Club. And while I was coming in just as the Unilever acquisition was happening, we didn't have unlimited resources. Most of the team that was already there was on the engineering side for building out the ideal customer experience on both the front end and back end. But at the end of the day, it was taking a lot of those learnings that kind of I had at P&G. It's the storytelling. And even from my P&G days working on the Olympics Thank You Mom campaign, like how do you get at the hearts and minds of consumers and kind of bring them through the customer journey? And that's something that I was able to bring into Dollar Shave Club and really kind of focus on, all right, how do you transform a business that was so successful on the razor side of the business, and how do we kind of transform that to mean something more, which is where kind of we really had a big shift and started out in the very beginning, like really honing in and listening to our customers. What do they want? What are their wants and needs? What are their desires? What are their unmet needs? how do we kind of translate the Dollar Shave Club ethos to something more, and really kind of identifying the idea of kind of owning the bathroom space, and providing products that met unmet needs. And over the 3 years that I was there, as I was brought in, was building out the innovation pipeline for the company. We launched into 8 new categories for the business, getting into deodorants, which I had experience in, getting into oral care, which I experience in, but even bringing in personal cleansing products and hair care products, and even getting into colognes and fragrances. But looking at each of those categories in a unique way, not in kind of a vacuum, but how do you kind of look at the landscape that's out there today for each of them and really identify like what is your unique positioning for how Dollar Shave Club can succeed in that marketplace. It's not a kind of a one size fits all playbook. What worked for shaving isn't necessarily going to work for deodorants or oral care, but looking at the landscape, understanding what competition is doing, and understanding kind of what are those kind of areas that we can create a unique positioning in that we can own, and not only marketing that but building out a product performance that meets those needs. And I think that it's that combination from a kind of a go to market standpoint. It's the messaging and the product combined that really is able to deliver kind of a successful proposition in a category. In a lot of the places that I've been, and for most people, there are other alternatives that are out there, maybe not necessarily direct alternatives, but other choices that people have. And where are they going to spend their next dollar? Are they going to spend it with you or someone else? And so I think it's extremely important to kind of hone in on, all right, how do you communicate something that is going to get to the hearts and minds of consumers and convince them that your product is the next thing that I add to my basket?
I want to come back. I do want to get like deeply into tactics and like literally the tools that you use, but I actually want to stay on the, you kind of said something which is like, what worked for one brand isn't going to work forever. You launch 8 new categories in a couple of years, in 3 years. And now the way you introduce yourself with Fatty 15 is we have one product. It's awesome, right? It serves a need. What is the difference? Like right now, as you think about your capacity, would you want to move into a bunch of different categories? Have you kind of changed your mentality where like focus wins? Basically, I want to kind of understand, is it a resourcing thing? Do you think at Dollar Shave, you guys would have been better served going to 4 categories versus 15 new categories? Discuss. Take that however
Yeah,
you
no,
want.
it's a tough business challenge question, and really comes down to kind of what's not only right for the business from a market standpoint, but what's also right for the business from an internal resources and external, however you're developing your products. I think it's definitely you're at a crossroads there, and at the end of the day, and kind of how we've approached it from Fatty 15 side of things, like you're making choices every day that are deciding kind of what is right in the moment for where your business is today, where does it need to be in the near term, and where does it need to be in the long term. And you're always revisiting this. And I think that's something that's important, that you can make a decision today and kind of go back on and revisit that 3 months, 6 months down the road, and that decision can change. But I think it's important to kind of take a look at holistically kind of what's
Mm,
out there today and understanding as a business what makes sense in the moment, because you don't want to start making changes that are going to drive a change in your profitability, your resource needs. Like for us at Fatty 15, we're a very, and we still are today, even 5 years later, what we call a bootstrap company. We are coming from a military kind of background. We have co-founders that were part of the Navy as a physician and part of the Navy Marine Mammal Program, and bootstrap something that is important. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the stakeholders and kind of what makes sense to kind of continue moving forward with the business. Like we decided in the very early stages, we wanted to focus on direct to consumer in the beginning. And there was a lot of runway, white space opportunities in that space. And we decided that in year 4 that it was the right time to expand into Amazon, and launch that in January of this year, which is a very successful business for us, given that's where a lot of people turn to for any
I've heard of
consumer
it.
product. Like it was something that it's turning things on in the right moment, and you can stretch yourselves too thin, strap resources, spend a lot of dollars that you may not necessarily want or need to spend at that point in time. And I think as you kind of look at your business, it's kind of backwards looking and forward looking and kind of assessing that on both fronts and making sure that as you're turning new opportunities on, to me, it's kind of a test and learn mindset where you're testing things, learning from them, fuel things that are working, and then optimize things that aren't. And you can do that in stages. You don't have to do it all at once. And I think that's been something throughout my career, even in my P&G days, where we have the dollars, we have the resources, but think of your next dollar that you're spending could be your last. And what do you want to do with that dollar? Like, can you stretch it enough with what you have today? If so, continue to do that. And as you're kind of getting to a point that it makes sense to test into something else, that's where you have the moment to do that. And that, even from the Fatty 15 side of things, has like we were profitable pretty much at year one, and we have strong retention rates and lifetime value for our customers. And that has been from the life cycle customer journey where we've been putting a lot of time, effort, and resources. And then that has in turn allowed us to fuel other acquisition opportunities, which allowed us to turn on the Amazons of the world and look for other opportunities down the road.
I have like 400 follow-up questions that I'm writing down. I want to spend a little bit of time on Amazon, but before I get there, I want to talk about the test and learn mindset. You and I have talked about this. Like, I talk internally about speed to learning. And like, if you can pay $10,000 to learn faster than you, right, you can learn in a day what would have taken 3 months. You spend for speed and for learnings. I think the hard thing, and you are in like, you're a leader, you're aligned with the founders, you're building this, right? And they see the results. I do think the hard thing for most brands or for most tech companies or most basically any business is full alignment on the value of learning. Because if you have a like, yeah, we're going to test mindset, but then ex post facto, the CEO is like, yo, what's going on? Why we spend this money? And you're like, well, I learned all these things. And they're like, sorry, you missed your budget or you missed your targets. It is like absolute across a company alignment. Any advice for how to create that alignment or anything that you found that works really well to like kind of get ahead of yeah, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. We're going to make a ton of decisions. We're going to make mostly mistakes, but we're going to learn faster.
Yeah, I think it comes into play all the time. And yes, we have an amazing executive team that is pushing on where every dollar is going. And it's something that I think a lot of brands feel, to your point, like there's a myth out there that you have to be everywhere at all times. And I think that's something that I completely disagree with. And even P&G, we have the dollars to go spend on being on TV and in print and online and all of that. But in an e-commerce environment today, and this is what has transpired even over the years of when I've learned and what I've learned even as I've worked my way backwards. Again, what matters most is kind of what do you mean to your consumer? Where are they at? At testing and learning, like let's not spend a ton of money to invest in something that may not work. Let's test our way there. Push your partners, other apps and things. Like for us on Shopify, we have a lot of apps at our disposal. How do we test some of those out? Push them to say, all right, how do we do a 1 month, 3 month trial to see how it works before you get there? And I know a lot of apps out there are gonna be like, hey, don't give up the secret. But I think for us, like that has really gotten us to a place where we can quickly test and learn, see what happens, and you move on from things. Like you got to be willing to say, hey, this didn't work. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, even from kind of where your next marketing dollar is going. There are a lot of options that you have out there in the e-commerce world because you can build connections everywhere outside of TV, which like we ventured into TV, didn't see it working. So we pivoted, but now have gone back because we have kind of a different way into, all right, is there a creative from kind of set top boxes and things like that that are allowing us to interact with customers in a different way? But you have things with TikTok, podcasts, billboards, everywhere else that you can throw your dollars and you're getting sold all the time. But to
Everything is
me,
a positive ROI. Everything is guaranteed results. You're like, yeah, but what is right
yes,
for us is
yeah.
the question.
And the thing is, it's different for every business. And that's where it's kind of the test and learn and be able to take a risk a little bit, but not necessarily throw all your dollars and allocate budgets that you can't move around. And that's something even in my P&G days, way back when we didn't have the kind of the internet e-commerce ecosystem that we had today, that even with media dollars, like you have budgets set aside in buckets, but be able to kind of have the flexibility to pivot, that you had a set of money available that for a rainy day that could be moved from, hey, we're moving it from Instagram to Facebook or moving it to YouTube, that hey, something's working, let's allow for fueling there, versus locking you and handcuffing you into something that isn't going to work for you long term. So that's
Dennis,
something that I've learned over the years, and kind of be able to kind of focus on kind of the long term versus, hey, let's get some quick wins and hope that things are going to work out.
it was so much easier when it was just Facebook and you could get everybody for free and then you could send a message and everybody saw it. Those were the days, man. There's too
Yes.
much choice now. We are so Rita, right? We started with email. Now we do direct mail. We're doing SMS, but we're moving into retargeting. We had a call TV the other day because the question is like, how do we go build a better kind of algorithm to tell you like who are the best people, not in general, but for that channel. And so I am officially reliving the like, I'm no longer the brand owner, but I'm like trying to figure out if I were a brand owner, what are the like experiments I would want to do? Anyway, all right. I want to go into Amazon. You said it took 4 years. I want to know if you could have gone sooner and why you didn't. I want to know if there were any like mistakes you made that if you were advising, if I was starting a, like similar company. And then I'm very curious because retention is so important to you. By the way, I'll ask these again. Like, because retention is obviously so core to the business, is like, how do you build in retention with Amazon? Is it just, hey, subscribe and save works? Or is it you try to bring people to the site? How do you balance that? So first question is like, could you have gone earlier, and like kind of tied to that is like, what mistakes did you make up front that you wouldn't make again?
Yeah, and there's always the question, like, you from day one, we could have been on Amazon and used that as a marketplace for really building awareness for the business. Like for most consumer products today, the first thing someone does when they hear or see someone speaking or even see an ad for your brand, first thing they do, go to Amazon, as well as typing that search and most likely in Google, but those being kind of your two biggest awareness opportunities. For us, being a new to the world product in a category that there is a sea of everything else, we actually decided that education was more important for us than just making a sale. And I'll kind of come back to kind of one of your kind of comments also about the retention side, because that is a core component kind of on the customer journey, that we really thought through, like, was it meaningful enough to go onto Amazon to hope to retain customers, where on the e-commerce direct to consumer side, we were able to kind of build out that full customer journey, starting from the moment a customer hits our website for the first time after seeing some sort of messaging or hearing about it from someone, all the way through what we have built to kind of a lifetime of retention, and kind of providing tools and resources available. And I think from the e-commerce side of things, yeah, you're at a kind of a dichotomy of, all right, when does it make sense to kind of jump into the Amazon world? For us, we've always continued. Again, as I mentioned before, it's revisiting, it's kind of seeing every year as part of our kind of annual planning and strategies that we built out for the following year, kind of taking a look at what role can Amazon play for us, and is it the right time to do that? And we decided kind of after year three that kind of it was about time to kind of start to set that up, and it does take some time to do that. But the challenge for us is, as you mentioned there, and it's like, all right, how do you kind of build that connection in where you're buying on Amazon, customers are staying most likely on Amazon, they're not getting our education emails that we have in our onboarding flows. We're not able to push them as their refills are coming up and really kind of building up the kind of the rationale on why I need to continue taking this, unless they're experiencing the results for themselves. I mean, I think that kind of first purchase to second purchase really is where most brands see that kind of that significant retention hurdle. And for us, that's as with most brands, we're seeing it there. We're seeing it from that between the first and second refill. And really, like, how do you kind of build a connection in? And for us, we can't put stuff in the box that's driving directly to our direct to consumer channel. That's not how Amazon likes to play. We want to kind of make sure that we're adhering to the Amazon policies and everything else. But with each of our orders, we actually kind of provide kind of newspaper inserts that educate. So that's something that even from the Amazon side of things, we put this in their boxes as well. So any customer that's buying their first order, subsequent orders is still getting an educational touch point that is connecting back with the brand. That is providing a lot of the latest science, a lot of the latest kind of benefit communication. I'm fortunate to work with two co founders and a team that is continually to run deeper scientific research. There's a lot of research that's going on in this space, and we love to communicate science. It's something that we kind of are call it approachable science, but doing a way that is kind of providing the rationale and need of why this is a nutrient that your body can't make on its own. So it's something that we need to get in our diets because we're not getting it through other means. In order for us to live happier, healthier, longer lives, we need this. So that education still can be weaved into the overall equation as you're building out that marketing journey that is a little bit more unique for Amazon customers than it is for those that we have that direct one-on-one connection with.
I love it. Thank you for walking through it. I used to think about Amazon, even for Modify back in the day, was we would put our hero item there, but have the depth of SKUs on our website. So you get people would want a black watch or, whatever our best selling watch was. But then if you wanted to explore elsewhere. And so it's fascinating to hear how you do it as that single product company. Yeah. I don't really have anything insightful to say, but
Yeah.
for what it's
No, and
worth, like,
I'd say like we do offer kind of a 6 month supply on Amazon that is a little bit unique. And again, like if you're price shopping and all of that, there could be other options to make purchases directly with us or with Amazon. But subscribe and save has definitely been beneficial. And even with Prime days, Prime deal days happening yesterday and today, like we are seeing a great amount of traffic. And again, it's a choice of, all right, we have ads that are going out there driving people directly to Amazon versus going to our core D2C business. And it's a choice that we have to make. We've tested this over kind of Prime days back in earlier this year, and I think it was July, August, and doing it again. But even something within our email community for those customers who haven't subscribed or have left us and don't subscribe right now, we've even sent emails out to them letting them know that they have an opportunity to take advantage of it. Again, giving an opportunity to kind of take advantage of promotions while not necessarily kind of keeping them within our own ecosystem. It still is because Amazon we're treating as an extension of our business and another opportunity where customers are comfortable purchasing from and getting their products delivered kind of in the next day or two based on the kind of the prime deals that they have offered.
I mean, if nothing else, you're very, very consistent about meeting your customer where they're at. So I love it. All right. I want to talk about retention for the tools you use on your website. What is I introduced you to a founder that got a $2 million, $10 million, like a meaningful subscription business, like something supplements or something replenishable, whatever you want to call it. What is the stack, not knowing anything else about the business, that you think people should use? Is it like subscription plus loyalty plus this? Are there specific tools that you found are like the most malleable? Do you build stuff yourself? Like, how do you think about this for other brands?
Yeah, retention is extremely important. And I think for most brands, a big afterthought in kind of how businesses work. A lot of brands are focused on bringing people in the door and the acquisition side, but forgetting. And I think as we build kind of our tech stack over time, it's really kind of building out that holistic experience that is able to provide not only the product, but kind of solutions for our customers. And again, to back to the conversation, not only meeting them where they're at, but providing them the tools and the resources to kind of handle their subscription or their purchasing behavior the way they want to. And you don't want to handcuff your customers. Like subscriptions, a very bad term for a lot of customers and consumers over the years, given cable companies and all of that that have locked you into contracts and even my phone for many years. I'm not going to name the brand, but I had to sign a contract year after year and couldn't get out of it after a period of time. They've had to evolve as other competitors have come in. But subscription can be a bad term. But at the end of the day, for us, like as you're coming in the door, you're subscribing, the benefit is you're saving. You're also getting continued education. You're able to get your refills when you need it. It's those types of things. And even for something like at Fatty 15, like we've actually built an entire community. And I'm going to do kind of a quick soundbite for our Nerdy Do-Gooder team, which is our customer experience team. And my wife actually leads that team. So congrats, Allie, and one of our largest teams in the organization that has actually built out a unique experience. We want to be the best at customer experience. And it's not only the tools that are available, but we built out custom elements to our program where our customers are actually able to reach out one on one with us. They can actually book time with our team and have one on one phone conversations with them, asking them whatever they want to ask. It could be talking about kind of what benefits are they experiencing, what they should they be looking for down the road. Hey, I'm having trouble with my subscription. How do I solve that? Our team is there to help them navigate throughout their journey. And even through all of the conversations, we are providing kind of surprise and delight opportunities throughout the customer journey as well. And I've kind of took a kind of a playbook from my Dollar Shave Club days. We actually call it the random acts of healthfulness. But for those customers who we have engagements with, whether it's an email, phone conversation, social post, and kind of mention something that is meaningful to us and them, they might be surprised and delighted to receive something from us in the mail, just as kind of a hey, we're here for you type idea. So it's something that we've built into the ethos. We're all about kind of health and well-being, leaving the world a better place than where it was before we got there. So we're not only transforming kind of the health and well-being of those around the world, but doing it in a way that is meaningful to kind of our community and really building out kind of that personalized one-on-one connection. And we kind of term it the Fatty 15 family. Like it's not just the internal family, but bringing in the family from the outside as well. And you're here with us, which I think has really led to kind of the tech stack that we've built out of subscription management and ratings and reviews and emails, and even on making sure that we're ADA compliant for those
Mhm.
that may be kind of part of that community that can't engage with our website in the same way that everybody else is. Just kind of making sure kind of we're buttoned up in a way that is meaningful to each and every consumer, and like anybody can benefit from our brand and our business, and want to make sure that anybody is able to access it in the right way.
That's wonderful, man. I mean, I think any business that has like a passionate fan base or some sense of community has a leg up on everybody else, because it's like part of the community is it feels good to be, part of a group, but part of it is also people can support each other, which is pretty wonderful. And I find that the businesses that have a stronger community also get better feedback from customers, because people feel heard, they see other people, and then like you get to learn faster and be like, hey, yeah, we did this wrong, or our education materials aren't as good as they should be, or we should change the quantity, and we should go from 6 month to 7 month, like whatever the insights might be. So I love that that's kind of at the
Yeah.
core.
And I'd say, like, while we don't necessarily have kind of a full loyalty program from the subscription side, there is a savings if you stay on it. We do offer kind of once and twice a year, kind of certain promos around annual supplies where people are able to stock up and save, but we're not necessarily kind of doing like, oh, buy 5 times and get something. Kind of in the very early stages, we were doing kind of a surprise and delight at year one where we gave you anniversary gifts and things like that. Those elements are weaved in, and there are kind of different types of promos throughout the year.
Yeah.
But again, like there's not a kind of a one size fits all playbook. And again, there are a lot of tech stack options that you have available. But at the end of the day, it's kind of what's right for the business. And we'd rather kind of get you the product at a better price than kind of give away some of these things down the road. Because if you're discounting for this, well, why didn't you give me that in the beginning? And I think that's something that again is a trade-off that a lot of brands have to make, and why, like, we, as you said, Aaron, like, the community is something that is a little bit more meaningful. Like, we're here with you to support you throughout your journey, and that
Yeah.
means a lot more than getting a free t-shirt or a hat. Yes, it can help from being a what we call a brand ambassador for the business, but at the end of the day, like, hey, give me the best price for your product, and that's going to deliver the results I need and at the price I want. And we're always striving to kind of get our pricing down as best we can. And we're looking for other ways down the road of how does our nutrient C15 and fatty 15 show up in other products as an ingredient. But today, yeah, the supplement is kind of what we have available. We want to make sure that we're giving people the best value for that purchase.
It's okay if what you have available is great. That's good. Having a lot more stuff where it's like, better to have like the absolute best product and just hyper focus. All right. I want to stay on the personalization side and I want to reflect back. Something Krish on our team found, right? Like you had a quote a long time ago for Dollar Shave that mass market approach is not what guys are looking for anymore. I want to think about this personalization. If you want to dovetail into AI, I invite you to, but you don't have to. Beyond the like sense of community and like the deep, affinity that Ali and her team are bringing, right? By like being really there for your customers. Is there anything else on the personalization side? Are there any AI tools you're using to think about that? If not for that, is it AI tools you're using for like generative, like so you can have more content? I'm curious how you're even dipping your toe in that area.
Yeah, I'd say on the AI side, that's something, yes, that has definitely been evolving over time, not just from people using it themselves for kind of finding out the world's secrets and letting AI tell you exactly what they believe the answer is, but from the AI standpoint, especially as we've built out our customer journey, and that's something even on as I've gone from kind of the P&G days where back then we didn't have the e-commerce world, and now on the flip side of e-commerce is pretty much everything that, yes, you have retail, which is a core component for a lot of businesses. You lose some of that one-on-one personalization, but that's something even from kind of as customers are coming into our ecosystem from the moment they hit our website, and even on their customer journey, like, how do we get you through each of those kind of customer life stages from awareness to consideration to purchase and hopefully retention and hopefully a lifetime of retention. Kind of building out kind of different aspects of their journey that kind of meet where that customer is at. So understanding there are a lot of tools out there, whether it's through kind of our email ecosystem and kind of understanding acquisition sources and different targeting techniques, kind of bringing all that data and synthesizing it together to build out different unique cohorts that then allow us to kind of build out custom experiences based on those journeys. And someone that came in and purchased twice and then left us versus someone who came in through a podcast through one of our influencers and then stuck with it, and now we have the ability to kind of use them as a kind of a referral opportunity to their communities. Kind of really kind of meeting, as you said before, kind of meeting customers where they're at, and doing it in a way that kind of speaks to them, understanding them, and something that we've built into our ecosystem very from the very early stages. We do customer surveys throughout the customer journey, starting with right after purchasing. We call it our day zero survey, but kind of understanding kind of why customers purchased from us in the beginning, get a little bit better understanding kind of what drove them to purchase, what benefits were they looking for, what are they experiencing today, and understanding them and kind of checking in with them at key moments, including 2 weeks later is what we've seen through the usage of Fatty 15. 2 and 3 of our customers are experiencing what we term near term benefits, and understanding like, are they sleeping better? Are they in a better mood throughout the day? Or do they have
Very
more
cool.
energy? Are they stacking less? Those types of things, getting understanding kind of what are they experiencing that then we can kind of layer into that through custom emails down the road of following up. Like, how is that transpired over the coming months? Six weeks in, we do another survey, which is when people are starting to see what we're terming long-term effects as they start getting blood work done, or they're seeing kind of checking their blood pressure, checking cholesterol levels, things like that, actually able to start to see things that are happening on the inside that kind of transform on the outside through kind of validation. So those types of things I think are extremely important to kind of, again, those check-ins with customers in the right moments to make sure that they understand that they're being heard and we're listening to them, and kind of creating a journey that, while isn't necessarily as unique, like it's not like every customer has their own, but we're able to tailor things in a way that speaks to those benefits and in those moments at the right time with the right message.
And I do think there's some level of personalization that creepy is the wrong word, but it's like, this is irrelevant. You don't need to know every single data point, but where you guys seem like you are focused on the quote unquote personalization is like, when there will be impact. When, if there is an impact, they should be aware that, hey, by now you should have some impact. So go explore, go figure things out. Like, it actually sounds like you're personalizing in the spirit of serving your customers, which obviously, if you've done your job right, which I know you are doing from like spending time with you, but generically for other brands, means you'll have a higher retention rate, means your LTV will be better, which like is the thing. And we are seeing across so many companies right now where they're like, retention is getting worse because their acquisition spend has gone up. So they've started acquiring fewer people, and now they need to like hug their existing customers. But the only way they know how to do that is to email the hell out of them. And it's like, no, no, no. Like, make it great for them. Understand their journey. If you're going to message them, have it be information you can use at the right time, improve LTV, and then you can start growing again. It feels like you guys have that like completely dialed in.
No, definitely. And I think, again, that lifetime value extremely important for a customer, and the customer retention journey does evolve over time. Like, we've gone through several different iterations, even on the email onboarding front, that we start from day zero and actually take you through your first two refills with kind of emails that are kind of interspersed throughout your journey. And even around key moments, highlighting certain things that we want to make sure customers are aware of, hey, if I stop, here's what I may be sacrificing if they aren't seeing the benefits today. So that education always important to continue doing and adapting. And for us, like, we have a lot of new science coming out all the time. How do we make sure that we are still communicating and updating with the latest science? Because that's important for customers to continue hearing, whether you're with us for your first 3 months or with us for 5 years. Like, we want to make sure that we're still communicating. And that CAC to LTV ratio, like, extremely important. And it's something for us that, as our LTV has gone up, that has allowed us to spend a little bit more on the acquisition side. But again, we're, as you said, like, we don't want to overspend on the acquisition until we know, like, we have that payback. And that's something that has, fortunately for us, has been able to keep us profitable, and something that we want to maintain that, but also kind of maintain that balance over time. And it's not just solely bringing new customers in the door. While yes, we have something in place that can retain them, that doesn't mean that they are, if you're bringing in the wrong type of customer. And I've learned some of this from earlier days, kind of, hey, if you're deep discounting, and we don't never want to be a deep discounting brand, you're not going to achieve kind of that payback and profitability that you're looking for. People will only think of you as a discount brand and only buy you on a discount.
Great, man. Thank you. All right, I've got a couple more quick ones, and then I promise I'll let you get back to your real job, though. I'm grateful you let me sucker you into this conversation because I'm learning a ton. The last AI-ish question, you kind of mentioned, look, people go on Amazon or they go on Google. Obviously, ChatGPT, AEO is happening. How are you thinking about this, if at all, right now? Or is it the type of thing where it's like, I need to think about this. This will happen soon, but right now we're focused on what we do.
Yeah, AI is a big component of a lot of the work that we're doing, not just from what we're doing, analyzing a lot of the tools that we're using today have AI components of summarizing customer feedback quickly and giving spotting patterns and churn and engagement and things like that that allow us to adapt the business. But on the other side of that, like external validation, kind of chat GBT, even with some of the recent Google changes and kind of Google search, and serving up kind of both sides of the
Yeah.
business now, where you're seeing kind of videos and things pop up that are showing both perspectives. And it's something that from our side of things, it's extremely important to kind of hone in and focus not only from kind of what assets do we have available, what are we putting out there, what are we putting paid search behind from an SEO standpoint, but also like how are we utilizing our influencers to kind of put messaging out there that it's not only coming from us, but those that have some credibility in the community, that are the experts, that truly know what they're talking about, and not just being a voice for our brand, but a voice for themselves on kind of what Fatty 15 is not only doing for them, but their communities, their patients, their followers. How do we make sure that we're doubling down there as AI is starting to kind of take a holistic view and isn't necessarily just solely bringing in who's paying the most dollars? And yes,
Yeah.
is that still component that's showing up, but it's important. And I think even for us, and I speak this, it's a challenge, but it's something that is meaningful. Customers are going to have different perspectives on things. I think it's important. It's what I term healthy competition, but doing it in a way that it's good to understand both sides of the equation. Credibility and who it's coming from. Yes, there's always that question. And while we are a brand and trying to communicate things that are right for the business, we as a business are doing it in a way that is credentialed, is something that has backbone behind it. It's science backed. We're not just speaking it from marketing terms. And that's something that even from the very beginning of our business, and we're part of groups today that we hold ourselves accountable for any message that goes out there and make sure that we have the claim support, we have the data to help kind of, we have a backing behind it. And I think that's something that as a lot of brands need to think through things like, you can't just say things anymore because people can poke and prod from all levels. But I think it's important that you need to take a look at things like ChatGPT, even Google AI, and summarization of kind of what your business is, and just make sure that you're staying on top of it from a day-to-day standpoint because things do evolve. But also having support behind kind of, hey, this is the hero, but there's a lot more behind it that you can kind of help support through blog articles and credentialing, and even your own website that can provide resources that help support the claims and benefits that you're messaging out there to the community.
Thank you. All right. I got two more questions for you, some quick hitters. You're allowed to defer if you don't want to answer. I've gotten enough nuggets already. The first one is what's a widely believed marketing best practice that you find yourself disagreeing with?
I would say getting back to that you have to be everywhere all the time. I think that's something that you're going to waste marketing dollars, and you're going to kind of, I'd recommend kind of focusing those dollars and efforts on something that is meaningful to your consumer, something that is going to deliver the ROI, because that gives you the opportunity to spend more. You don't have to be anywhere and everywhere at all times, and it could evolve throughout the year. And as I mentioned before, we've tested and learned in multiple places, and even for evolving on a week to week basis, or in some cases even daily with creative. Like your creative's going to kind of have to evolve over time, and you're going to have to test both visual content and messaging and all of that, test out and see what's working, and fuel things that are, and optimize things that aren't, or be willing to kind of pull the plug on things that aren't working. And I think that's something that over the years, yes, as I said before, like if this is your last dollar, what would you do with it? And would you throw it into something that you're just going to waste away? And most likely as a business owner or working for kind of the business owners that you have to report to, whether it's a board or internal executives, you want to make sure that, yes, there is some support and rationale to why you're doing it, but test and learn. And I think that's something that I've learned over the years, and I think definitely comes into play no matter what business you're working on, whether e-commerce, direct to consumer, or even in a kind of a more traditional omni-channel approach.
Dennis, I was going to ask you for one piece of advice, but I feel like we've hit the same thing over and over, and you kind of
Yeah.
just said it again,
I'd say
right?
that the one piece I would say is be willing to take risks. I think growth doesn't come from playing it safe or running the same playbook over and over again. It's that testing, learning, optimizing, saying, oh, we've always done it this way. Like, throw that out the door. Even as you're coming into a business, yes, you want to understand and learn what's been done in the past, but that's a cue that things can be done better. So I'd say take what's worked before, kind of find a new way to bring it to life, but keep learning from what other brands are doing, other industries, and then make it your own, something that is ownable for your business. Because I'd say the brands that are the most curious and stay bold are the ones that never stop evolving and really kind of transform kind of how they go about and approach things from a day-to-day standpoint.
This was awesome. If Mr. Turner is watching, we are both sorry we didn't get you a championship. We worked really hard for it. This was so insightful. I took like multiple pages of notes, and I'll follow up with you separately too. I'm going to keep bugging you for more insights, man. Thank you for taking the time today.
Aaron, thank you very much for the time. It was great to be here and happy to share my experiences. And hopefully, someone's able to take at least one thing and be able to take that back to kind of their world.
All right, Dennis, last quick thing. Where should people find you? Or if not even you, is it just go fatty 15? You want them on Amazon? You get one plug here.
Yeah, go to fatty15.com, check it out. If you want to find me specifically, can definitely share kind of a unique VIP code for you to try out Fatty 15 for yourself. Find me on LinkedIn, definitely available there, but always willing to chat with anybody and everyone. I love learning, as I said, and you never know what your next kind of connection is going to bring. So always open to any conversation. So thank you.
All right, man. Well, have a great rest of the day. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.